Hello everyone, I am going to share with you one of my little boy's stories that he chose particularly for you. I know you've heard about some Paddington and you've probably seen some of the films. This is one of the episodes about Paddington and his taste for foods. And as ever, I have my little buddy with me who likes to be in the films. So this is called Paddington and the Knickerbocker Rainbow. One day, Mr. Brown took Paddington and all the family to the seaside for a treat. I do love the seaside myself. I'm missing it quite a lot at the moment. Paddington sat in the front of the car with Mr. and Mrs. Brown. Mrs. Bird, who looked after them, sat in the back with Jonathan and Judy. But when they got to the seaside, it was raining hard and there was a gale blowing. "Some treat," said Mrs. Bird as she held onto her hat. I think we've all probably been to the seaside when it's been a bit like that. "Look!" cried Paddington. "That man has had his hair blown away." "Shh, it's Judy, he's bald." But Paddington pulled his duffel coat up around his face. He didn't want his whiskers to blow away. "Let's go in this cafe," said Mrs. Brown. "At least we shall be dry." Paddington looked back at the sea. It was very rough. "I think I shall put my armbands on in case the tide comes in," he said. Very safe. Not sure it's going to come in the cafe. As they sat down at a table, Mr. Brown pointed to a picture on the wall. It showed an ice cream called a Knickerbocker Glory. "If you can say that, Paddington," he said, "I'll buy you one as a treat." Now, I would take that challenge. I love a good ice cream. Paddington was very excited at the thought, and he tried several times to say it. "Knickerbocker Glory. Gicker-locker Cory. Licker-locker Rory." But the more he tried, the harder it was. "I think I may have a cornet instead, Mr. Brown," he said sadly. "It isn't easy saying Knickerbocker Glory." Everybody laughed, and because in the end he had said it properly, the girl brought him an extra large one on a tray. "I couldn't get any more into the glass," she said. Paddington licked his lips. "What a nice nurse!" he exclaimed. "That wasn't a nurse," said Judy. "That was a waitress. Nurses look after people who are ill." "If Paddington eats all that," said Jonathan, "he'll need a nurse." Paddington gave Jonathan a hard stare. "Bears are good at eating ice cream," he said. At that moment, the sun came out. "I think it's going to be a nice day after all," said Mr. Brown. "Look, there's a rainbow." "Quick, Paddington," said Mrs. Brown. "Look before it goes away." Paddington stared out of the window. He'd never seen a rainbow before. "It looks just like my Knickerbocker Glory," he said. "And it disappears almost as quickly," said Mrs. Bird, as the rainbow began to fade. "You must make a wish," said Judy, "before the rainbow goes." "Then we can play on the beach," said Jonathan. "I wish," said Paddington happily, "I wish I could have a Knickerbocker rainbow every day of the week."